Hey folks, I know it's been a running joke on my channel that I'm always one generation behind on my hero guides, which is admittedly fitting for a YouTube channel named after a sloth. But the real reason I'm always behind is there's actually a crazy amount of work that goes into testing each and every one of these heroes for the hero review. But for folks on the earliest servers like me, we're all kind of making decisions in the dark about the latest hero generations. So today, I'm going to try something new. Instead of the usual hero review, this video will be a hero preview, or a condensed video where I share my initial hypotheses and theory crafting, early testing data, and suggestions on the latest generation of heroes. Then at some point in the future, I'll do a proper full review with all the testing data in hand. And special thanks to Frack of the Frackinator tool and Shadow Ares in Kingdom 21 for sharing their early testing data with me. So with that, let's dive into the Generation 7 heroes. Now I won't focus so much on the conquest side of the equation since all three new heroes have been in the top conquest team every single hero generation. I also don't think that's the best reason to make a hero building decision anyway, since the game rewards expedition mode much more. Still, it's worth pointing out that there is a roughly 20% increase in both conquest stats from the prior generation for each respective hero type, as well as expedition stats from the prior generation. Due to compounding, this makes it the greatest increase in absolute terms for both Conquest and Expedition. Now, I've heard some players characterize this as power creep, but I don't think that's a fair characterization. Given the increasing number of ways to build power in the game, from new pets, to masters, to new island buildings, new gear and charm levels, and more, heroes are making up a smaller portion of an account's total power. And this actually necessitates bigger stat increases between generations for it to even stay relevant, since you're also subbing out old heroes who might have well-built widgets with multiplicative bonuses that are increasing in impact with all these other new power sources. I suspect that if the power wasn't increasing, heroes would be falling behind as a power source. So personally, I'm okay with these stat increases. So let's start out talking about Charles, and he's got a pretty interesting character design. To be honest, I'm surprised they didn't just make Gino into this Generation 7 hero, sort of like they did with Petra in the Fortune Teller event before Gen 3 was released. But to start out, I'm not too thrilled with these first two abilities. They both cap out at 20%, and yes, you may think that something like reducing squad damage taken by up to 20% means multiplying incoming damage by 0.8, which would make it the same as increasing your own stat by 25%, but that's not how the game's combat formula works. All defensive skills go in the denominator, and thus this 20% reduction is the same as a 20% increase in health the way the game is coded. It doesn't make intuitive sense, and I'm not sure if it's a miscommunication between Kingshot's design team and engineering team or what, but we have confirmed that's how these sort of abilities work via testing. And if you want to understand this a bit more, be sure to check out my Combat Myths video linked below in the description. So in any case, a 20% skill cap is just straight up subpar compared to our normal 25% benchmark. And unfortunately, Charles has two of them. Now at the same time, Triton also has a pretty big miss in his second ability due to how restrictive it is in terms of its use conditions. And he also has a pretty mediocre third ability. And you can check out my full review of Triton with the link below in the description. So even though Charles has a 25% cap for his third ability, we're still getting some conflicting early testing information when we compare Triton and Charles at equivalent stats. So for example, a 60-40 formation with Thrud and Saul seems to slightly favor Charles over Triton. However, when Saul is subbed out for Wii and Wu, and that same 60-40 formation includes Thrud, it seems to slightly favor Triton instead. Now this could be due to some sort of synergy between Triton's second skill and Wii and Wu's ability, particularly that third ability, although it also doesn't seem to have any kills registering to it in the battle report, which we thought was the condition for Triton's skill to fire. Or it could just be overall how some of these skill codes are matching up with the skill codes that the other heroes are bringing. Either way, it's too early to tell until we do the painstaking process of unit testing each and every ability and coding them into Frack Simulator. So for now, my sense is that Charles will still be an upgrade over Triton, since these tests were done with them at equivalent stats and Charles has a higher stat ceiling when maxed. However, given his moveset weakness and the fact that the Generation 8 hero roulette wheel should have an infantry hero on it, I'm probably going to skip him like I skipped Triton and just take the Gen 8 wheel hero, whatever that is, because we all know it'll probably be another defensive widget hero anyway. And at this point, I'd like to take a quick moment and give a special thanks to my Sloth Squad channel members whose continued support helps make my work possible. Check out the links below for how to sign up as well as how you can use your in-game spend to support my channel. You know, just in case you were thinking of getting any of these heroes yourself. Anyway, let's talk about Ava. I guess that Splatoon has now come to Kingshot? Anyway, my initial impressions of Ava is that she's really good. Like, may have value that lasts for generations good. Or, as Frax said, she's the new Amadeus for Bear. And let me explain a bit what I mean by that. So she comes with 3 expedition skills that all increase damage, on top of an offensive widget. This is amazing for Bear and only happens very rarely. Amadeus being a great example of this for infantry. And what's more, we've been able to confirm through initial testing that her second skill does indeed work on the Bear despite the turn counter, which sometimes make abilities not function in Bear Hunt. On top of that, all of her abilities average out to a 25% expected value, again with a little asterisk on that second skill given that it takes a couple turns to phase in. But overall, this is a pretty solid skill kit that slants heavily in favor of combat that rewards offense and does not need defense, like Bear Hunt. In fact, it is so exceptionally rare that I'm trying to figure out if it's possible to build her on my main account, even though I'm only coming into Generation 7 with a few hundred hero shards, since I used my entire stockpile trying to max out Yang in Generation 6. And in fact, I think this is probably going to be the biggest strategic trade-off for most viewers who have limited budgets. Yang gave me a similar sense of excitement since she also has 3 damage enhancing abilities and an offensive widget. I built her before Generation 7 was in the game and we had any idea what the heroes would be, but I still don't regret that. But I have to say, now seeing Ava, I think Ava might actually have even longer staying power. And the reason for that is that archers make up a majority of Bear Hunt formations, so future generation archer heroes with better stats will provide more incentive to replace Yang in the future. But cavalry fraction is usually fairly low, so these stats really don't matter all that much. It's really all about the skill set, and given that, this may last a while. In Generation 3's Petra gave us some insight into this because she continued to outperform Thrud even a couple generations later because of the better skill kit. And let's just say at some point in the future, Ava does get outclassed by another hero down the road, she'll still be a good joiner hero for Bear Hunt as a consolation prize. That's because this initial skill here introduces a new type of skill code for a joiner hero that increases damage that the bear will take by reducing enemy squad's defense. And yes, this one does work on the bear as well. So I'm going to end up having to do what I can and try and invest in Ava this generation, because I think she's the standout here. Then we have Wii and Wu, which is our first hero pair, unless of course you're considering Thrud's Wolf as a character. And I'm getting serious Tweedledum and Tweedledee vibes from them. They are the wheel hero this generation, so you will most likely build them. And yes, they are a defensive widget hero, which means they are not an ideal bear candidate, unless you haven't updated your archer hero for a while and need the stats. In that case, the extra stats plus 3 abilities that increase damage dealt may be enough to offset the lack of an appropriate widget type for them. I still think having a fully built Yang widget will be more than enough to offset the extra 110% increase in expedition stats for archers, which gives Yang a slight advantage. But Wii and Wu wouldn't be a bad choice to bear lead either if you hadn't built Yang. However, either way, there's still a few reasons to build them. First, their primary expedition skill is also a great bear joiner. It's an ability that splits the usual joiner stats of attack and lethality into 2 separate bonuses. So alliances that include them as bear joiners may therefore get a more even distribution of stat bonuses, instead of getting 4 lethality boosting heroes like 4 Chenkos, and that variety could help inch up overall alliance damage. They're also the first defensive archer wheel hero since Saul all the way back in Generation 1. Which is helpful for game modes where you might be defending lots of locations as a low spender, such as Swordland matches that might have fewer people in them. They will also be helpful in multi-team modes that do not use widgets like Tri-Alliance Clash and Mystic Trial. And for spenders who are running 60-40 garrison defenses, they seem to be outperforming Saul, which makes sense given their similar widget type and extra combat moves compared to Saul. And finally, I know I said I wouldn't mention Conquest too much here, but Wii and Wu have probably one of the most broken Conquest kits to date, given their highest in the game base attack stat, multiple AoE skills on top of a self boost to attack, and a field-wide boost to attack speed. Oh yeah, and their base attack is in AoE. So my overall take on these heroes is that there are a lot of things to get excited about. I think Ava is the real standout, and I'm gonna have to figure out how to shift my account around to get her. I'll probably also be building Wii and Wu as well, but I'll be prioritizing Ava for the widget pieces. And I'm probably going to pass on Charles just like I did with Triton, since I usually don't lead defensive rallies anyway at my account strength. Anyway, let me know what you're planning to do for this hero generation in the comments, and share anything you think I might have missed, or questions you would want answered going forward when I get to the actual hero review video. At some point in the future, I'll do a proper video on this generation that has less speculation and more concrete testing, but hopefully this will hold you over until then. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with the latest info I publish. Thanks again for watching, and happy gaming out there.